Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. This week we're going to focus on the story of Mephibosheth. Now, Mephibosheth is one of those names in the Bible that all of us dread being asked to read. But really, once you learn to say Mephibosheth 3 times over really fast, it's not that bad. Despite the difficulty of reading and saying his name, Mephibosheth's story is one worth taking note of because it gives us a picture of God's grace. A story of God reaching out to people who are broken, hurting, living in fear, with grace and with mercy. That's the story of Mephibosheth, and it's the story of our lives. Mephibosheth, we meet in the 4th chapter of 2 Samuel. When we're introduced to him, we're told a story of his life that is so defining that it seems that it is the inescapable power controlling his life. You see, Mephibosheth is the grandson of King Saul and the son of Jonathan. Now, King Saul is the first king in Israel, and he will be replaced by David. David and Jonathan became fast friends and pledged each other their love and commitment in an undying kind of love and friendship. Despite all of that, Mephibosheth, when he is 5 years old, is injured in a way that will affect the rest of his life. When Mephibosheth was 5, his grandfather and his father both died in battle with the Philistines. When news of that came back to the royal family, they panicked. They fled in fear. They literally ran out of their homes. And as they were doing that, Mephibosheth fell and was injured in a way that affected both of his feet for the rest of his life. He suffered a disability from that would leave him with pain and with limitations that would never really change. And so he was going to suffer as a result of that day's events every day for the rest of his life. On top of that, the fear that sent them on this effort of escape was also going to shape his life day in and day out. You see, it was almost standard practice that when a new king would arise, he would wipe out all of the family of his predecessor. This way, they would try to guarantee that there would be no one who would try to rise up and contest their power. And David had promised Saul and Jonathan that he would not do that, but despite that, Saul's family lived in fear, and they fled from David, believing that he would destroy them. Well, Mephibosheth lived his whole life then, all through his childhood into his adult life, trying to hide his identity, living as a nobody in a nowhere place. When David ultimately does discover and is able to reach out to Mephibosheth, he finds him living in Lo-debar. Lo-debar's name literally means a place with nothing. It is a place with no pasture, nothing good there to sustain life. It is a nowhere place. And so Mephibosheth has lived his life as a nobody in this nowhere place. All of this has defined him. Now, for some of you, it doesn't take much imagination to understand and to identify with Mephibosheth. You may have lived in your life with pain that is unrelenting, that goes on and on and on for years, from an injury or an illness or some other thing affecting you in your life. For some of you, you have lived with disabilities that have given you physical limitations and prevented you from doing things that you really wish you were able. And for some of you, you have endured pain that runs even deeper. The pain of heartache, people that you love feuding with each other, tragedies in your life that have left you with such sorrow and grief that you never have recovered fully from it. And it has shaped all of the ways in which you have responded to life. Some of you have endured bullying and abuse that has left you hiding in fear. Now, for some of you, you can relate to Mephibosheth, and you feel as defined by these miseries as he had felt in his life. But I want you to stay on board for the rest of the story, because God has a deliverer for Mephibosheth, and he is a deliverer for you and me who would redefine our lives. May God bless you, and as you share this good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.